Human development. Today we are going to deal with the lesson physical growth and development. The objectives of this lesson is to understand the components of physical growth. The second objective is to understand the variations in physical growth across the lifespan stages. What is physical development? Physical development refers to the development of body structure and its components. It includes the height, weight, skeleton, muscles, bones, teeth and body proportions. Height and weight. The average birth weight of an Indian child is 2.8 to 3 kgs. Initially, a baby loses weight, but it regains it by 10 days after the birth. The weight doubles by 4 months. Later on, the weight gain is very less. That means the rapid is less. The weight triples by the end of the first year. The weight gain is slow during the second year of life due to the greater expenditure of energy in creeping, sitting and walking. Coming to height. The average height of a newborn infant is about 50 centimeters and the height measures around 60 centimeters by 6 months. By the end of second year, the infant gains height by 25 centimeters. Thereafter, there is an increase of 7.5 centimeters per year until the 7 years of the life of the child. After height and weight, let us have a look into the development of teeth. The time of eruption of the first tooth varies and it depends on heredity, nutrition and health. Girls are slightly advanced in teeth development over the boys. The sequence of eruption is more important than their time of eruption as it may lead to developmental irregularities. The first teeth to make appearance are the lower incisors around 6 to 8 months, followed by upper incisors. Molars appear later. By 1 year, the baby has 4 to 6 teeth and by second year, they have 16 teeth. So, after having understood about the development of teeth, let us look at the development of the skeleton or the body frame. What does it include? The skeleton includes the bone development. The earliest form of bone is cartilage, which is very soft and has pliable structure. The cartilage gradually becomes bone through the process of ossification. The process involves deposition of calcium and other minerals on the surface of cartilage to make it hard and rigid. As most bones are not ossified during infancy, they are softer, more pliable and more sensitive to the pressure and sudden movements. The rate of ossification differs for various bones. Some of the bones have head and wrist and ossify very early in life, while others mature later. The soft spots in the skull ossify completely by 2 years. There is a variation in boys and girls in bone growth. Girls are developmentally more advanced than the boys. After knowing the development of bones, let us have a quick look at the development of muscles. The neonate has all the muscle fibers. These fibers are small in relation to the overall size of the infant. However, during infancy period, muscles grow in size. They increase in length, breadth and thickness. The muscle growth follows cephalocaudal and proximo-distal direction. That is, head and neck muscles develop earlier than the muscles of trunk, arm and legs. Next, we will have a look into the development of body proportions. Small children differ from adults in size as well as in body proportions. After birth, the trunk and the limbs of the body grow faster while the head growth slows down, giving rise to smaller head and longer limbs as the child grows older. An infant is rather chubby with a big head and small limbs. By the time the child reaches 6 years of the age, his body proportions are equal and appear like those of an adult. The ratio of muscles and fat tissue contribute to the physique which characterizes each individual. Physique is usually established well by childhood and is continued into adulthood. Boys have more muscle tissue and the girls have more of body fat. Motor development refers to the development of posture, locomotion, hand and leg skills. These are the result of bone and muscular development and maturation. Large muscle skills such as leg skills, fine muscle and hand skills or the finger skills are subsumed under motor development. Now, let us have a look into motor development during infancy. It is one of the major tasks of infancy. The fine motor system governs the movement of hands, fingers, feet, toes and hips. Gross motor system governs the movement of head, body, arms and legs. Even in the activity pattern, head is the first to be controlled, while the control over the legs and feet, the movement of walking, comes last. Gross motor skills. From birth, the child attempts to move his limbs and muscles and acquires control over them. By 2 to 3 months, the infants gain control over head and neck. Next, he can move his trunk and then the legs and then the arms, and control over the fingers comes last. Around 4 to 5 months, the infant can reach further and grasp an object. Grasping object is an important developmental milestone as it allows the infant to experience both the sensation of touching the objects and manipulating them. By 4 months, the infant can sit with support. By 6 months, the infant can sit alone, and around 7 to 8 months, he can stand up with support. By 9th month, the infant can walk with support. Around 11 months, he can stand alone. By around 12 months, he can walk alone and explore the environment. Around 1.5 years to 2 years, walking skills become more refined and the toddler is proficient at moving about. He can open the cabinets, climb stairs, pull the tablecloth, feed himself, and by 2.5 years, the child can run, jump, kick, climb up the steps, walk down without assistance. These are the gross motor skills. Now, let us have a look at the fine motor skills. The toddler can move things, push and pull objects, put the things in containers, stretch and bend. The two primary events of infancy are locomotion. What is locomotion? Let us try to define it. Locomotion includes the act of moving from place to place or the ability to move from place to place. Prehension. It includes reaching and grasping. It is one of the important achievements in infancy. It also forms the basis for wide range of important infant or toddler skills, self-help skills, block building, tracing, scribbling, all come under this. Locomotion and prehension skills are the main aspects of physical development during the infancy and babyhood. Development is continuous, and at the end of every 2 months, the child is capable of having a new set of body skills. While most children achieve the milestones according to the schedule, there may be some who lag behind. It is but normal for some children to reach the milestone behind the schedule. Now, let us see how the physical development is during the early childhood period. The physical growth during the early childhood is not as rapid as it is during the infant period. Most children grow approximately 7.5 to 8 centimeters annually and they gain weight of 1.8 kgs per year. Girls and boys are very similar in their pattern of physical growth and development during these preschool years. Some children grow taller and develop more quickly than the other children due to genetic differences. Body proportions, bones, muscles, teeth. Let us have a look how these will change and grow during this early childhood period. Body proportions. The baby look disappears. Body proportions widen in relation to its length. Arms, legs, feet grow bigger in size. Boys have slightly bigger feet than the girls. The body fat decreases approximately 12% of the body weight. Most of the children have similar body build, though some are fatter than the others. Bones. Bones gradually harden throughout the childhood due to ossification. So, the chances of deformity are lessened each year. Ossification proceeds at different rates for different parts of the body. Girls are advanced than boys in ossification. Muscles. Muscles grow harder and stronger, so the child can participate in more activities without feeling fatigue. Boys have larger proportion of muscle tissue and girls have more of fat tissue. Girls mature earlier than boys and their growth is more predictable. Girls are superior to boys in flexibility and use of their muscles. Teeth. During the first 4 months of early childhood, the child cuts his last 4 baby teeth, the back molars. As they are large and flat, the eruption makes the child feel discomfort. During the last half of the early childhood, the child begins to lose the baby teeth which are replaced by the permanent teeth. Girls usually shed their baby teeth and permanent teeth earlier than the boys. Motor development during early childhood period. The motor skills include gross motor development, fine motor development and perceptual motor development. Gross motor development. It involves the movements of entire body using various large muscle groups. The development of the children's brain lays the ground for the work for balance, control and using hands. New skills emerge rapidly during the preschool period. These children can learn to run, throw ball, use slide, jump, hop, creep and catch. Now, let us have a look into the fine motor development during the early childhood period. Using smaller muscles of the body and extremities with organization and coordination is called the fine motor skills, like grasping, reaching, holding, banging, pushing, turning, all these are the fine motor skills. The differentiation, coordination, control are important skills developed during the early childhood period. The developmental progression in fine motor skills from less to more differentiation, coordination and control is apparent during the preschool years. Now, let us have a look into the perceptual motor development. It is a process in which the child develops the skills and the ability to take in and interpret the information from the environment and respond it with the movement. There are 3 types of movements involved in motor skills, which include locomotor activities. These abilities involve a change of locomotion of body, including the skill of walking, jumping, climbing and so on. For example, playing with a ball, running and walking. Non-locomotor activities. These abilities are sometimes called as the balancing and stabilizing, turning, bending, stretching. These are all come under non-locomotor abilities. For example, while playing a ball, bending down to reach the ball is a non-locomotor activity. Manipulative. These include the operations and control of limited and precise movements of small muscles in hand and feet. For example, throwing, catching, holding, grasping all come under manipulative. These three basic movements are necessary and combined when the children are active in physical play. So, after having understood the physical development during the early childhood period, let us move on to see how the physical growth and development is during the school age or late childhood. The children in elementary grades typically show slow but steady gain in height and weight. The body proportion changes less than during the infancy and early childhood period. The cephalocaudal and proximodistal principle of growth and development continue to operate. The lower part of the body and extremities fill out in this period. The child takes on more adult-like body proportions. The bones continue to grow and harden and the muscle becomes stronger. Height. The annual increase in the height during the late childhood is 2 to 3 inches or 5 to 6 centimeters. At the onset of puberty, an average a girl reaches a height of 58 inches or 139.2 centimeters and the average boy of the same age is 57.5 inches or 138.3 centimeters. Girls reach 90% of the adult height, whereas the boys reach only 80% of the adult height by the age of 11. Weight. The annual increase in weight during the school age period is 3 to 5 pounds. At the onset of puberty, an average girl of 12 years should weigh around 29 to 30 kgs, and the average boy of the same age reaches 28.5 to 29 kgs. Girls will reach half of her adult weight. After having understood about the height and weight, let us look at the body proportions. Head and face. The most outstanding physical change is the changing proportion of the child's head to his body. The child head attains 91% of adult size. The surface of the head accounts for 13% of the total body, whereas for the adults it is 8%. The gradual eruption of the permanent teeth changes the shape of the mouth. During the transition from baby teeth to permanent teeth, deformities also may occur sometimes if two jaws do not fit together, affecting the shape of the face. Now, after having looked into the head and face, let us now see how the trunk shapes. It elongates, it becomes slimmer, the chest broadens, flattens, the neck becomes longer, thus permitting the shoulders to drop. The shoulders become square, broadened and become flat. Both boys and girls have greater trunk growth, but boys tend to have longer legs, arms and standing height during the school age period. Many structures in the body such as skeleton, muscles, liver, spleen, kidneys, face, they follow normal growth curve. So, after having seen how the physical development taking place during the infancy, early childhood and school age, let us now have a look into the skeletal and muscular growth during the school age period. Girls are ahead of boys throughout the late childhood. At birth, the girls are 4 weeks ahead of boys in the skeletal age, but by 12 years, they are almost 2 years ahead of the boys. Now, let us see the skeletal growth. Skeletal age is estimated by the percentage of cartilage that has been replaced by the bone. The children's bones have proportionally more water and less protein material than those of the adults. The ligaments. Ligaments are firmly attached with larger spaces between the bones and joints. These characteristics make the child more susceptible to the bone infections carried by the bloodstream, less resistant to the extreme pressure and muscle pulls, and more flexible than the adults. Osteoporosis, a disease that involves serious loss of bone density, leaving the bones at risk for the fractures later in life. Much of the bone tissue will disappear and become more fragile. Girls are much more at the risk of developing osteoporosis than the boys. The school age children should have adequate calcium to ensure optimal bone mass and participate in weight and bearing exercises like jumping, walking, running, skating, etc. to promote health. Now, we will have a look into the muscular growth. There is a rapid growth in muscles. The muscle fibers grow in length and breadth and are accompanied by changes in composition. The heart muscles grow more slowly in this period. Teeth. The baby teeth are replaced by permanent adult teeth, which are usually 28 of the 32 permanent teeth by the onset of puberty. The last 4 wisdom teeth erupt during the adolescence. These teeth erupt earlier for the girls than the boys. A strong and healthy tooth in the children enable them to chew properly and speak clearly and give shape also to the face. Brain development. Like other physical growth, the brain development also is slow and steady. Between 2.5 to 10 years, the brain grows only 15% and reaches 90% of its adult brain weight. The cerebral cortex continues to grow neutral extensions, circuits and connections between neural branches and become more stabilized. The brain becomes more selective in pruning process of eliminating underused neural networks, particularly in visual cortex. This may account for increasing eye-hand coordination in children during this school age period. The biological transition of adolescence is referred as puberty. Puberty refers to the period during which an individual becomes capable of sexual reproduction. It is a collective term to refer to all the physical changes that occurs in growing girl or a boy as the individual passes from childhood to the adulthood. The physical change of puberty are triggered by hormones. They are the chemical substances in the body that act on specific organs or tissues. In boys, a major change occurred during the puberty. It is increased testosterone, which is a male hormone, while girls experience increased production of the female hormone estrogen. In both the girls and boys, the growth hormone produces adolescent growth spurt. The pronounced increase in height and weight that marks the first half of the puberty. These details of these changes will be seen now. Puberty. The term puberty is derived from the Latin word pubertas, which means the age of manhood. The early stage of adolescence, known as pubertal period, marked by the changes in physical development that are a part of transformation of the individual from child to adult. The most obvious aspect of the physical change in adolescence is the onset of puberty. It involves a series of biological changes that leads to reproductive maturity. The other physiological changes are increased like oil production in the face, increased activity of sweat glands, mood swings, emotional sensitivity. Now, let us have a look to the factors which influence the puberty. Biological factors. The physical changes that accompany puberty are influenced by biological factors. The interplay of the endocrine system, the nervous system and the gonads leads to puberty largely through the influence of hormones. The hypothalamus in brain signals the secretion of pituitary gland, which in turn stimulates the thyroid and adrenal glands. Now, let us see what are the environmental factors influencing the onset of puberty. Environmental factors. The important influencing factors of puberty are the general health and nutrition. Adolescents who are healthy and received adequate nutrition throughout their early years of life are likely to enter the puberty earlier. Exercise. Girls who exercise strenuously like gymnastics, runners, ballet dancers and who have low levels of body fat often have delayed puberty. Family factors such as stressful family experiences trigger the puberty. Now, we will have a look into the physical changes that can occur during the puberty. Puberty is a stage of development when the body makes a great leap forward from childhood into the adulthood. As a result of puberty, the adolescent undergoes rapid body changes and are grouped into 4 categories. They are the physical growth or body size, body proportions, development of sexual characteristics and physiological changes. The changes in physical growth and development. The boys and girls undergo a period of rapid physical growth in terms of height and weight, which is known as growth spurts. The growth spurt begins with weight gain of 26 pounds in boys and 20 pounds in girls. This weight gain is extremely due to accumulation of fat around the legs, arms, abdomen and buttocks. The increase in height during the growth spurt is striking among the boys. Usually they grow 3 to 5 inches or 7 to 12 centimeters and girls from 2.5 to 4.5 inches or 6 to 8 centimeters. Age at which the maximum growth occurs is approximately 14 years for boys and 12 years for the girls, and difference remains to be constant. These are some of the physical changes that are caused by hormonal secretions which can be seen during this adolescent period. So, today we started the lesson knowing what is physical development, what is motor development, and we have understood height and weight, what are the minimum height and weight that has to be acquired during the infancy, early childhood period, and then we went on to see the physical growth and development during the school age period, the motor development during the school age period, how the development of teeth, the skeletal system grows and develops during from infancy stage to the adulthood or adolescence stage. So, we had a look at the physical development, motor development, skeletal development from infancy to the adolescence. Hope you have understood this lesson. Thank you.